Hello everybody, good afternoon. How are we all doing? Lovely to have you here. Welcome to today's session run by Amazon. Today we're going to be talking all about the tech apprenticeships available at the company. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Heather Reynolds. I'm from Career Map. I'm the host today. And today I'm joined by the hiring managers and apprentices who'll be talking about the programs and sharing their own experiences as well. Some of you have already located the chat box on the right hand side of the screen. If you haven't done already, that's where it is. Please ask any questions that you've got in the chat box and we'll put it to the team and either answer it within the chat or ask the team during the Q&A towards the end of the session. And also just a little bit of a reminder that it is being recorded, so don't worry about missing anything here. It's going to be emailed to you as a link and you can use it as a resource going forward. But I think that's my opportunity to just pass over to the team, and I'll see you for the question and answer session.
Great, thank you, Heather. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Adam. I work in the UK apprenticeship team here at Amazon. Primarily responsible for the attraction and assessment of apprentices across Amazon's UK apprenticeship programs. I'll be talking you through a bit today about Amazon, a bit about apprenticeship programs, and also some of the programs that we have in the kind of tech space. I am joined by 4 of my colleagues today, so if I could all ask you just to quickly pop your cameras and microphones on and introduce yourselves. Okay, so maybe Chris, start with yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Chris Power. I'm based in Cambridge. I work on the Alexa system.
Thank you. Savannah?
Hello, everyone. My name is Savannah, and I'm a software development engineer apprentice. I work within Ring. Yep.
Thank you. And Shri?
Hi, I'm Shri Shah. I'm the Apprenticeship Program Manager for Corporate Apprenticeships in Amazon.
Thank you. And then Claire?
Hi everyone, I'm Claire. I'm an IT support engineer based in the Dunfermline Fulfilment Centre in Scotland.
Great, thank you everybody. You'll hear from everybody again throughout the presentation in the Q&A. So if I could ask you to turn your cameras and microphones back off, please, and then we'll see you a bit later. Okay, right, so a few slides very quickly on Amazon. Now, what I will say first of all to start with is this is part of a series of webinars that we're running. The content for, at least at the start of the webinars, is the same. So those of you that have attended a webinar this year, just forgive me if you recognize a few of these slides and hear me talk about the same thing. But after I've done the introduction, we'll then specifically start talking about tech programs. So again, if you think, oh, I've already sat through this, the first few slides are the same, but we will change topic in a short while. So, but for those of you, this is the first webinar you're joining, essentially, Amazon is a company where most people have heard of us, right? Most people have used our products and services in some way. We generally don't struggle with brand recognition, particularly in the last 18 months when it's been difficult for us to get to the shops. Amazon has provided like a vital service to customers with the kind of home delivery, etc. But from the left-hand side there, you'll see a picture of Jeff Bezos, our founder, sat in what looks like his garage back in 1994. When he launched Amazon.com as initially an online bookstore. Fast forward to today, on the right-hand side, that is our rather more swanky-looking Sphere office based in downtown Seattle. That's a meeting space where Amazon employees can go and have a meeting. It's basically like a massive glass like a greenhouse type thing with trees, etc. So we've come a long way since 1994. Currently got around about 1.6 million employees worldwide and growing. And revenue was around about 460 billion last year. And Amazon is really a place where the products and services that we offer are growing year on year. So that growth will probably continue, and it's a really good place to work if you want to have exposure to essentially lots of different things. Now, as an example, on the screen now, you'll see various logos. These are all part of Amazon. Some of them you'll recognize potentially, like Prime Video. Some of you may have a Prime Video account. AWS, Amazon Web Services, so cloud computing, which powers a lot of organizations worldwide. And there might be some on here that you recognize but didn't realize were part of Amazon. So like Whole Foods, for example, in the top left. IMDb, the movie database based in Bristol. Twitch, the online sort of streaming and gaming platform, which some of you may use. These are all part of Amazon. And we have a lot of apprentices working in some of these divisions. But essentially, yeah, for everything from fashion. So we have apprentices as fashion buyers. So I didn't know Amazon had a fashion department when I joined 3 years ago, but we do, and we have apprentices working there. So from fashion through to robotics. So again, we've got apprentices working on the robots, maintaining the robots that work in our fulfillment centers that move all the packages around quickly so that we can get everything to the customer as quick as possible. So again, short, small, sample of what we do. This is an extension to it. And again, each one of these is a different part of Amazon. So as you can see, we're more than just an online shopping company, which a lot of people recognize Amazon as, and we're more than just a tech company. We're a lot more, as you can see. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Amazon is a great company to work for if you want to have a multi-year career where you'll potentially move around, working for different businesses, doing different things. And Amazon is quite encouraging of employees to do that, to switch to different departments if you want a new challenge. So this is Jeff, who some of you will probably recognize. So this quote here goes back to one of the founding principles of Amazon, which was customer obsession. What we mean by customer obsession is that pretty much everything we do at Amazon, you start with the customer and then you work backwards. So what does the customer need? How do they need it? What do we think they need that they might not even realize they need yet? So that innovation side, which I'll come on to in a second. But we feel that if you focus on the customer, that customer can either be internal or external. So the external online shopping customer, or for a lot of us, our internal stakeholders are seen as our customers. But if you essentially start with them, work out what they need, how they need it, and then work backwards from there on how to deliver it, that's one of the reasons that Amazon has been so successful, and the growth and the options of products and services that we offer now is so big because of that customer obsession. So it's just as true today as it was when Jeff launched Amazon in 1994, and that will probably always be the case. And I mentioned innovation. This is just some of the things that we are doing or have done. So some of you may have a Kindle, video streaming as well. You may have a Prime Video account. Alexa, so some of you may have Alexas in your house. That home automation was all driven by innovation. And advanced shopping is another one. So the Amazon Go store, which recently opened up in London, allows you to essentially walk into the store, scan your app, pick up all your items off the shelves, scan your app on the way out, and leave without queuing and paying. And that was something which was born out of customers telling us that the worst bit of the shopping experience is having to queue up at the end and pay for all of your items. So through technology and innovation, Amazon has created a store where you can essentially walk in, pick up things, and walk out again, and everything gets charged via your Amazon account through the app. So again, we've identified a customer feedback, customer need, and through innovation and technology, kind of removed the part of the experience that the customer said was the most negative. So that happens right across Amazon every day. So again, if you're somebody that really likes to innovate, likes to think of new ways of doing things, new ideas, Amazon is a very entrepreneurial type place that allows you to do that and explore your ideas. A little bit about our leadership principles. So first thing I'll say about these, so there's 16 of them, 2 more were introduced last year. These are essentially what drives Amazon and the behavior of all of the staff that work for us. These are not just kind of fancy sayings or words that were put on the offices or the walls of the offices to sound good. These are actually ingrained in our recruitment processes, and they're ingrained in the day-to-day behaviors and activities of everybody who works for Amazon. What I will say, my first tip of the day, if you are going to apply and you do get to the latter stages of the assessment process, please familiarize yourself with the leadership principles and think about how you've demonstrated them in your previous work experience, school, college, hobbies, whatever that might be. Because for us, if people can demonstrate the leadership principles, we feel they've got a very good chance of being successful at Amazon. We're not going to test you one by one. We don't expect you to know all of them inside out, but just have a read through them. Think about some which might resonate with you and how you've demonstrated them in the past, and then talk about them in your application or your interviews. One which I will pick out very quickly is learn and be curious, number 10. That's the idea that doesn't matter who you are, what level you are at Amazon, whether you're me or whether you're Andy Jassy, the CEO, you should always be taking the time to learn, being curious about how things work, why they work in a certain way, and then looking at possibilities to do it differently. Just because something's done in a certain way doesn't mean it can't be done better. So even if things are going well, you should always be understanding, can we do it differently? Can we do it better? And particularly for an apprenticeship, which is all about learning, that's a really important one. So one example of the 16 that we have, but as I said, make sure if you're serious about applying and going through the process with us, the leadership principles will be key to not just your recruitment process, but also once you start as well. Now, a little bit about Amazon as a company to work for. So as you can imagine, with 1.6 million employees, there's a very diverse workforce. Now, when I say diversity, I don't just mean ethnicity, gender, etc., but we're talking about background. We're talking about the way you think, the way people operate. So throughout our recruitment processes, we want to bring in groups of apprentices or senior people who are very different in lots of different ways, because if we hire all of the same people, you don't have that innovation, you don't have that different way of thinking, and that doesn't then kind of generate an innovative kind of working environment. So Amazon is a very inclusive place to work, very supportive, and there are some of the affinity groups are on the screen there. So Ben is a Black Employee Network. Amazon PWD is Amazon People with Disabilities. We've got Women in Engineering. This is a small selection of all the different groups that we have across Amazon, which have been set up and are driven by employees. So there's lots to get involved in, but it really is a very supportive, inclusive place to work. And that, again, helps with the innovation, the growth, the success, if we hire different people from different backgrounds that think and act in different ways. Okay, so we're going to specifically talk today then about tech apprenticeships. I'll talk you through what an apprenticeship is, and then myself and Shri will also talk you through the different tech programs that we have available. So apprenticeships in general then, a lot of people on the call might think you have a good idea of what an apprenticeship is, what it actually involves, but there's also a lot of misconceptions out there about apprenticeships. So we're going to touch on some of those today. But apprenticeships essentially cover so many different types of jobs. So everything from operations and engineering. I mentioned the robots earlier. You've got engineers in our warehouses that keep all the conveyor belts and all the systems working. As you can imagine, if anything went down in the warehouse, that would impact customers massively. So engineering is a huge part of our business. Got plenty of engineering apprentices currently working for us, right through to things like sales and marketing and digital and creative. So again, apprenticeships now, I don't even know exactly how many different apprenticeship standards there are, but there's hundreds and hundreds of different options for apprenticeships out there now. So at a very, very high level, an apprenticeship is a structured learning program which you do partly at school. And when we say school, we mean college, university, training provider, etc., and partly on the job. So you'll spend around about 80% of your time on the job, doing your day job with Amazon, whatever program you're on, like being a key part of the team. And then you'll spend about 20% of your time off the job in a learning capacity. That could be classroom based, it could be virtual learning, it could be work shadowing. There's various different forms that 20% can take. But the idea with an apprenticeship is one day you're learning the theory, the next day you put it into practice. So it's very different than going to university or college where you'll spend years learning the theory, and then by the time you put it into practice, when you finished, I mean, I know I did, you've forgotten what you did in the first couple of years of your degree or whatever, because it's been so long. With an apprenticeship, you're learning on the job, you're learning the theory one day, put it into practice the next day. So if you're somebody that likes to learn while you do it, an apprenticeship is a great option. You get a formally accredited academic qualification at the end, as well as work experience. So again, I'm probably biased given my job, but going to university, 3 or 4 year degree, you're going to get limited work experience. Whereas with an apprenticeship, at the end of that 3 or 4 years, you get your degree or your qualification, and you also have 2, 3, 4 years of real solid work experience on your CV as well. And then for a lot of people, the best part about an apprenticeship is you get paid while you do it. So Amazon will pay for your qualification, will pay for a wage while you're on the program, and you obviously then don't incur any student debt. You're kind of getting a good wage alongside Amazon paying for the qualification. At the end of it, you come out in a much better sort of healthy financial position than you would if you had to take a break in earnings to do your qualification. There's various different levels of apprenticeship. So from level 2 right through to level 7, Amazon has apprenticeships at various levels. You can see the different education levels you have there. Some of the slides we'll come on to later where we talk about the programs we have. You can see what levels they're at. But it doesn't really matter what education background you have, what stage of your career you're at. An apprenticeship can help you either retrain, upskill, or also change the direction of your career and move into something different. Another thing about apprenticeships, they're not just for 18-year-olds straight out of college, which is what a lot of people think. We've got apprentices who are very experienced with 10, 15, 20 years experience in something else that are using an apprenticeship to change the direction of their career into something they're passionate about. So again, engineering is a good example. Plenty of people who have got passion for engineering but didn't necessarily have the qualifications are using an apprenticeship to get the qualifications to then become an engineer. That applies to every program. So essentially, with an apprenticeship, it doesn't matter what stage of your career you're at, what qualifications you have behind you, there's an apprenticeship level to kind of meet your needs. So very quickly, our programs fall into sort of 5 different categories. We've got over 1,100 apprentices across Amazon, and we are planning to hire around about 1,500 apprenticeship opportunities this year across the UK. So you can see our programs are growing. It's a great time to join. But whether it's, again, operations, engineering, or kind of some of our corporate AWS, Amazon Web Services roles, we've got over 30 programs on offer this year for you to have a look at. But today we're going to specifically talk about tech programs. So this is where I'd like to welcome Shri back, just to talk you through a bit more detail about our tech programs, and then I'll come back in a second. Over to you, Shri.
Thanks, Adam. So as you can see on the slide, we have several tech programs. We are going to talk about 6 programs specifically here. Software development is one of the tech programs that we have in our corporate teams across Amazon everywhere. Solution architect is a degree program again, and it is mainly in our AWS teams. Data analysis, it's a level 4, a higher apprenticeship, and that is again in several of our corporate teams. DevOps is the new scheme that we are launching this year. It's a level 4 again, a higher level apprenticeship, and that is going to be mainly in our AWS teams. So as Adam said earlier, that you will be based in the teams, you will be working with the teams, doing a real job, at the same time doing a qualification, gaining the knowledge, skills, behaviors required to do that job. And you will be able to gain the knowledge, skills, behaviors on the job, doing real duties as well as off the job, when you are learning from the training provider, the mentors, the teams that you work with. So it's going to be a combination of all sorts of learning, on the job, off the job, remote learning, blended learning, attending workshops, and so on. So if we go more in detail with our programs, so the next one is our software development engineering program. So it is between 36 months to a 48 months program. And why we say 36 to 48 is it depends on how you learn quickly, how you pass your modules for each term, and how you are on track. So because apprenticeships can be a little bit individualized and flexible, you can complete it within 36 months up to 48 months. So you will be based in one of our teams in Cambridge, London, and Bristol. And you will be working with our existing apprentices in these teams, with our great software engineers and software managers who will be there to support you on the job. And the training provider will deliver the knowledge of the job, which is generally in workshops held face-to-face or remotely. So what do you need for this degree apprenticeship? You need 3 A levels. One of these should be a STEM subject, any STEM subject, and you will also need GCSEs, especially in maths and English. The qualifications that you will be gaining in this is going to be a degree called Digital and Technology Solutions Professional, and the pathway that you will be doing is a software development pathway. So you will be doing some modules which are mandatory for any pathway on this degree, and then you will specialize on the software development modules to get the software engineering specialization in this degree. You will learn a lot of software development languages such as Java, Python. You will use maths and algorithms, and you will learn how to do system development as well, data communication, and so on. Then going on to the next scheme, which is a Solutions Architect scheme. It is a same degree, the Digital and Technology Solutions Professional, and the pathway that this particular scheme follows is called IT Consultant. So you will be based in our AWS teams, working mainly on cloud and AWS technologies. And the role that you will be doing is the solution architect within those teams. Again, similarly to the previous one, you will be working with the teams and the experts in the teams to know how Amazon AWS solution architects work. You will be again working with the training provider, where they will be delivering the off-the-job knowledge in workshops, remotely or face-to-face. You again need similar requirements like the previous one. You need some kind of A levels or equivalents, and you also need GCSEs, maths and English. Again, the location that this will be based is mainly AWS teams in London, and it might also be in Manchester, and that's why we have said here it is over across England. So that is our solution architect scheme. The next one is the data analysis scheme, and the data analyst is not a degree, but it's a level 4 qualification. The duration is 18 to 24 months. And this will be based in various of our teams across Amazon and AWS and IMDb. So the locations will be Cambridge, London, 2 offices in London, and Bristol or Manchester as well. So the requirement for this is you need 5 GCSEs. One of these GCSEs needs to be a STEM subject and a maths and English grade C or above. The qualification that you gain on this is a recognized level 4 apprenticeship standard qualification. You will also do some certifications as part of the apprenticeship. and it will be embedded in your learning on the job and off the job as well. So the next scheme, which is a very new scheme for us this year, is DevOps. It is based in our AWS teams again. So what do DevOps do is basically they work on, they need a little bit of software engineering, little bit of cloud computing, little bit of IT infrastructure and networking. So you will gain knowledge on all these aspects at the level 4 higher level apprenticeship standard. And you will again be based in teams, and you will be working with experienced DevOps engineers to learn on the job. The training provider again will exactly do the similar things. They will deliver the knowledge, industry-specific DevOps knowledge to help you gain the required off-the-job skills and behaviors as well as the knowledge. And you will use those in the job and gain it on the job as well to become a qualified DevOps engineer in about 24 months as well. Over to you, Adam, for the next 2 schemes.
Great, thank you, Shri. Yes, just 2 more schemes to run through, and then I'll let you hear from some of our colleagues that actually do the job, who can tell you a bit more about what they do and how they do it. So we've got two IT schemes. So we've got the IT engineer scheme, which is a 4-year degree level program, where you'll get a degree in digital and technology solutions professional. And essentially, as an IT engineer, you'll be looking at the IT networks and the systems across the Amazon fulfillment centers and network. The idea is that you'd then complete this program and offboard into an engineering role at the end of it. But you'll essentially work alongside the team to learn how the IT systems and infrastructure networks work across Amazon. And then work to kind of maintain those across your program. We also have the IT support program. This is a slightly lower level program than the IT engineer. So this is 18 months at level 3. And this program is a bit more practical. And you would learn how to support staff and across Amazon with their kind of IT needs. So anything like equipment issues, setting up new users, etc. That's what you would do on this program. What I will say is with some of our programs that are at a more kind of lower level to start with, the idea is that, like with the level 3 programs, they would be your starting point. So if you didn't have the qualifications to do a high level program, you could go through this program, get the qualification, and then use it to do another apprenticeship to kind of move up towards degree level if that's what you wanted to do. So this is a good starting point to move into the IT engineering program as an example, because you'll see the entry requirements for this are 3 GCSEs, whereas our degree level programs are 3 A levels. So yes, any apprenticeship program essentially doesn't have to be the one and only one you do. It can progress to more advanced level programs if you wish to do so. So who we're looking for? I think the one at the bottom, particularly for today, right? You've got to have a passion for tech. I think no matter what program you apply for, what apprenticeship program you apply for, it really does help if you're passionate about what you're doing, because you generally, put more focus, more effort into the program if you really enjoy it. So these apply to every program. So be passionate about what you're applying to, and also be driven about learning new skills and committed to your own development. So essentially, Amazon's going to give you the tools, the support you need to be a success on the program, but it's down to you to make sure that you are driven enough to deliver and complete the program. So you have to take ownership and responsibility for completing your apprenticeship work alongside the day job. And certainly Claire and Savannah can talk about in a bit how they do that, how they manage their time. But as I said, apprenticeship programs, as I mentioned earlier, are all about learning, all about developing, working towards that qualification. So if you can combine a passion for that alongside a real interest in what you're doing, that's a very good start. Okay, so now I'd like to welcome Chris back, who's one of our senior stakeholders and a hiring manager for our apprentices on the software development program, who can talk about our apprenticeships from his perspective. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, so my name's Chris. I'm a development manager in the Alexa organization. I run an organization responsible for bringing lots of disparate data sets together so that we can provide more knowledge for Alexa, so that we can build more advanced user experiences and hopefully get more, deliver more value to the customer. But one of my side hustles is that I'm involved in the Apprentice program. So I've been involved in the program since the beginning of the SDE, program 3 years ago. And I think the apprentices, for me, it's a really important way of helping people into high-tech jobs who may not otherwise have roots in. So that's, for me, that's part of it. I think another part of it is that certainly today, with the cost of going to university, when I was at that stage, I took a fairly traditional route through university, A-levels university, and then into a job. But if I was doing that now, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I would be looking at apprenticeships, because really with an apprenticeship, you're learning the skills of the trade, and you're getting paid for it, and you're learning the academic side of things as well. So I think that's really valuable. And what it means is when you come to the end of your apprenticeship, you're going to be there with other people applying for the same role who haven't done an apprenticeship, and you're going to have, if you've done a degree apprenticeship, for example, you've got 4 years of work experience or 3 years of work experience at Amazon, and you've got a degree out of it. And if, as a hiring manager, if I'm looking at someone's CV who says, fresh out of university versus has the degree fresh out of 4 years or 3 years experience with Amazon, I'm going to look very hard at that Amazon-based CV. So I think the sort of opportunities that the apprenticeships give around not just learning, but applying that learning are really important in sort of the world we live in today. So why do Amazon do apprenticeships? Why do I have apprentices in my team? Why do I sort of champion this program internally? Well, really, a lot of it's about building those opportunities for people. I think that's important. I think it's nice to, I get a kick out of seeing people come into the organization and being able to apply the enthusiasm that they have and the sort of that keenness to learn new things. I think that's really good. It helps us grow our staff base, and it helps us to train people in, train the apprentices in the right way so that they, look and sound like Amazon engineers when they come out of the programs. And also, as I say, helps get people into high-tech jobs, and that's something that we struggle with. Finding good candidates for roles is really hard. It takes ages. So that's all great, Chris. But what do you do, right? What do we do when we're in this scheme, and what kind of projects do you do? Where do you sit in the organization? So with all of the apprentices across all of the schemes, they get real work to do. It's not toy projects. It's not made up problems. It's real work on working in real teams with real projects, real customer value, and delivering that value from all the way from the inception of the problem and figuring out the problem and figuring out the design, all the way through to pushing that code to customers and seeing it in my case on the Alexa devices. And everything in between that, so it's all of the design, the coding, the reviews, the evaluations, testing, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, real work, real projects. There's no, there's no kind of made up stuff here. We only do the real thing. So why do we bring apprentices into the business as a whole? So it helps with new perspectives. It's when we have teams that are made up from purely university graduates who all come from a similar background, we end up in a little echo chamber of how we design things and how we approach problems. So bringing, we want people from all sorts of diverse backgrounds, and the apprenticeships is one way of helping that mix. So we get different people's views, different views from people with different academic backgrounds, different sort of social backgrounds, and different cultural backgrounds. Really important. So what we do there is it's also helping helping the company grow in the way we work day in and day out, which I think is really important. So what do we do with the candidates? How do we get them in, and how do you perform well in an interview? I think is probably an important point. So do some research, right? Do some research on Amazon. If you turn up to an interview at any company and you can't talk a little bit about that company, then you're going to struggle, right? So I think it's the thing that distinguishes good candidates from bad candidates for me is understanding the amount of research they've done. If they, if you can talk about a couple of the leadership principles, if you can talk about a couple of the products that we build, things like Alexa or things like Prime Video, things like that, that will really set you apart from some of the candidates that come in. And be able, particularly in the engineering schemes, be able to think about problems and do some practice breaking down those problems. So, for example, think about how you would build the Amazon Go store, right? So if you don't know that, it's sort of walkout shopping. How might you build that? What are the kind of problems and challenges that you would face? What's hard about Alexa? How would you build an Alexa system? What are the kind of massive building blocks that you would need to build a system like that? So think about how you break down problems and how you would communicate that breakdown to people. So do that with anyone that will listen, friends, families, anyone, teachers, anyone that will listen. And then particularly if you're coming into one of the software programs, do a bit of software in your spare time, learn a bit of Python, figure out how websites work and build a couple of HTML, JavaScript applications. And that again will set you apart, because lots of people come and they go, oh yeah, career in software, that looks fun. But then you need to sort of do some of that background work first. So finally, for me, really, as I said earlier, I went through the traditional path when I came in, and sort of I did GCSEs and A levels, went to university, came out, went into a graduate scheme, and that was it. From university, my degree's in robotics, and I did a placement year, and pretty much everything that I use now is what I learned on that placement year. The kind of the more academic side of things that I learned through my course, I don't really use. I mean, my course was all about artificial intelligence and mechanics and things like that. But really, the sandwich year, the placement in industry made me the engineer that I am now. So I think, given these like high tech apprenticeships that are available today, it's really worth deeply considering that as an option for your future, because you can change your mind about your career path, but if you make a good decision initially, it's going to make that it's going to make that an easier ride long term. And that's all from me. So back to you, Adam.
Brilliant, thank you, Chris. We'll
Thanks.
see you in a bit for the Q&A. Okay, next we have Savannah. Are you there? Hey, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Like I said before, I'm a software development engineer apprentice. So I'm doing my SDE degree apprenticeship within Ring, which is an organization within Amazon. And before starting the apprenticeship, I actually worked in healthcare for a few years as a pharmacist. And I realized I had a passion for tech, and I really enjoyed coding because I had taught myself some coding before joining the apprenticeship. And so I came across the apprenticeship, Amazon apprenticeship ad on LinkedIn sometime last year. And around this time, I joined an Amazon apprenticeship webinar like this one. And I got really excited about the idea of doing an apprenticeship that will teach me strong fundamentals of software engineering, but also I'm able to get paid as well. So I realized one of the questions was, can you do the apprenticeship if you have if you've already done a degree? And I guess it depends on your degree. It has to not be related, but I'm an example of someone who has done a degree in the past. So I did a degree in pharmacy and worked in healthcare for a few years, and then decided that this is what I wanted to do. And so I decided to switch careers. So what do I do on a day-to-day basis? Well, like Shri mentioned, we have 20% of the job is allocated for you to learn new things and also to do some of the studies involved in the apprenticeship. And the remainder of the time I spend working within my team. I work, so I started September, so relatively new. I was allocated a project that's actually due to launch in end of March. So I'm working on that with the team. And it's, I think, one of the most amazing things for me about this apprenticeship is the team I work in. The team are very knowledgeable and they're very supportive. They don't see levels. Even though I'm an apprentice, my opinions are always valued, and I get to be involved in making decisions about the work that we do. Yes, so day to day, we have meetings, and we also have some like lunch and learn activities on a few days a month, and the rest of the time I spend working on whichever task or ticket I'm allocated. And if I need any help, I can reach out to anyone from within my team or outside of my team, and people in Amazon are generally very, very open to helping you out. So that's one worry I had before, the amount of support I was going to get, but I was pleasantly surprised, as whenever I ask for help, there's always someone that's available to help me out. And with regards to advice, I would say try to teach yourself some system design, just simple projects, personal projects. Create some personal projects, and that way you'll have something to talk about during your interview as well. It will show your problem-solving skills, and also it'll help you with preparing for the interview as well as the degree apprenticeship. Yes, and always try to use examples when during the interview when asked about questions. Always try to refer back to the leadership principles and try and use examples where you have demonstrated those in the past. That's it for me. Thank you, Adam.
Brilliant, thank you. We'll see you in a few minutes for the Q&A. Thank you. And then Claire, are you there, please? Great.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'll pass over to yourself.
So, hi everyone, my name's Claire. I'm an IT support engineer, and I've recently graduated from the IT support apprenticeship. I joined Amazon on this apprenticeship in 2019 and recently became a permanent engineer through working with that. Prior to Amazon, I've been like Savannah. I went to university straight after high school, and I did my 4-year honours degree in audio systems engineering, finished university and couldn't find a job, and an apprenticeship was something I'd never considered. I'd had friends that had left halfway through university to go and join other apprenticeships, and they'd spoken very positively of their experiences. So in that time period of looking for a job post-university, I seen an advertisement in the newspaper showing the Amazon Apprenticeships, and it was something that stuck out. It wasn't a typical ad, it was expressing the interest to get people who want to start their career at a company that wants to nurture their students, and Amazon really stood out with that. Going on that, you go through the process itself is very smooth. You get to meet some people, you get to get a vibe of the site you would go to, and then when you join the apprenticeship, I think for myself, I had no concept of what I was getting myself into. Coming from university, I thought, oh, I'll go to lectures, I'll be listening to people talk, I'll have coursework all the time. And then you come into the apprenticeship, especially the IT support apprenticeship, and it's completely different every day. You can be sitting at a desk doing things on network infrastructure one day, you can be out visiting other sites the next day, learning about the different network infrastructures, learning about the different tech that we use in terms of hardware and software. You get a different experience every day, and even now, after 3 years doing the apprenticeship and doing the permanent role, I still have a different day every day. I've never had a day that is the same, regardless of being an apprentice or being an engineer. One of the main things that I find is Amazon is a very people-orientated company. It wants everyone to succeed. Everyone supports one another. It doesn't matter if you're a high up manager or an apprentice, everyone is treated so respectfully, and everyone's encouraged to be the best person they can be in terms of their career. And that comes into the flexibility in the apprenticeship. Although you're working day to day, you work with your on-site team, you respond to internal customers, you're out learning, you have that flexibility to take that time away to work on your coursework and work on your own progression. For myself, I did my courses. I asked for specific times to either work from home or work on site to sit and do my written coursework. I would reach out to my other engineers and my other colleagues. They would be more than happy to help me, whether it was even silly things like taking a picture or asking what model of switch is that. They were more than happy to help. And that's the best thing about the apprenticeship. You will never feel alone in your learning, because even if they see you working, people will constantly come up and ask you questions or ask, would you like to be involved in this? Would you like me to show you this? There's always someone there who's willing to share their knowledge so you can better yours. And that to me was one of the key successes in my experience. I think coming from a university background, I had a dead set idea that I would go to university, I would get the job that I've always wanted, and that would be it. But I didn't. I wanted a job in the music scene, doing engineering there, and I was unfortunate that I couldn't find a job. IT for me was that little hobby I had with my friends. I spent my weekends building PCs, playing video games, writing code, doing all this with my friends in a fun environment, and bringing that into my career path and now turning my hobby into a career. I have realised that my dream job is IT, and it is being an IT engineer. And I wouldn't have realised that without Amazon, because they've taken that little passion and hobby that I had on a weekend, having fun with my friends, to now giving me a permanent career that I feel I will progress for the next few years, if not the rest of my career. And that's one of the best things about Amazon. There's no limit to what you can achieve. Although I'm at that point, I'm now in a permanent role post-apprenticeship, we're already talking what's the next thing to achieve in your career. And this is something even when I've talked to friends who are on different apprenticeships with other companies, that level of career progression and willingness to talk about it is so heavy within Amazon that you get excited at the next project you have. Definitely in terms of advice for all of you who are thinking about this, I would say you get what you put into it. When you come onto this apprenticeship, it's not a 9-to-5 job. You're not told, right, you have this work to do, get it done. You have that opportunity to go out and explore. You can take on additional projects if you want. You can shadow, you can ask for additional work. And 9 times out of 10, it is there for you. If you put your enthusiasm into this job, you learn more and more. And that's the great thing about Amazon. There's always something to do and there's always something to learn. Definitely within the interview process, be proud of your passion. If you're passionate about something, don't hold it back or don't be ashamed that you feel it. Just let that passion show in the interview process, because it does make a huge difference. Me myself, I was always, people kind of made fun of me at times for being kind of geeky, but I was very enthusiastic about that in my interview, and it was something I was proud of. And I think that shone through my whole interview process. And it's the best advice I would give someone: be proud of who you are and be proud of your passions and your achievements. Even academically, be proud of what you've done, because you've worked for that and you've earned that. So show it off when you come to Amazon, because it makes the biggest difference, and it shows that you're a team player. You're there to be part of this culture, because it's a very forward-thinking, enthusiasm environment, and it is an honour and an absolute joy to come to work every day. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Brilliant, thank you, Claire. See you back in a couple of minutes for the Q&A. Now, I'm just conscious of time, so I'm just going to very quickly whiz through the last couple of slides and then we'll take questions. Application assessment process, it does vary per program, but pretty much all of them have an online application followed by some kind of online test or video interview, and then a virtual assessment center. So just make sure you're aware, if you make it through these various stages, you can ask us questions about what to expect. But those are the 3 kind of high level stages that you'll go through. I was going to show a video, but I think in the interest of time, we better take Q&A. This video, if you go to YouTube and just search for Amazon Apprenticeships, you'll find this video on there. So we won't show it today to save some time, but if you want to, go to YouTube, search for Amazon Apprenticeships, and you'll find it on there. And then finally, I'll leave this on the screen while we take the questions. AmazonApprenticeships.co.uk is the place to start. There's information there. You can find links through to the application page as well. And then apprenticeships@amazon.com. I know we've had loads of questions that we're not going to get through in the time we've got left. Apprenticeships@amazon.com. Please send us an email if we can answer your questions after today. And again, any point through the application process, you can send us an email. Someone on the team will get back to you.
Brilliant. Right then, Adam, shall I just crack on then, because there's quite a few to get through. I think some of them will be quick fire answers and the others not so much.
Welcome all my colleagues back to put your cameras and microphones on, and then we'll just take some questions. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, guys. There's a quick question here. Are you able to work?
Sorry, Heather, I think your microphone cut out. I didn't quite hear that.
Oh, sorry, are we able to work remotely with the tech apprenticeships?
Shri, do you want to take that
one?
It
is a blended approach. It is not entirely remotely or entirely on site, so it needs to be flexible. You will come a couple of days a week in teams. Again, teams to teams, it changes. Different teams work differently. So it's not entirely remote now.
Okay, brilliant. Sam says, do you have social events outside of work?
Yes. So apprentices do it themselves mostly. Some teams do it on their own. And as a central apprenticeship team, we arrange a couple. In the last 2 years, because of COVID restrictions, we were not able to do that, but we will look into starting something once the restrictions are lifted.
Brilliant. There's been a couple of questions around the numbers that you take on for the apprentices. So is there a limit to how many that you take, and how many are there?
I mean, it varies per program. And yes, there is a limit. We have hiring teams that sort of submit their demand, want to take part in the program. So we do have demand that we look for. Quite often, we do get more good candidates than we have spots for, so that demand can be flexible. So we don't tell everybody what the demand is, because it can potentially change. But yes, we work towards a number, but if we find more people than we have spots for, we will do what we can to find opportunities for them.
Brilliant. There's a question here asking, does the salary increase each year of the apprenticeship, or does it stay the same throughout?
It does increase. It depends on the pay review that happens on yearly basis. So you will see some increase in your salary over the years after you finish 12 months. Each 12 months, there is a pay review.
Brilliant. Just a quick one here. Can you explain why the level 6 programs have different durations?
So the durations, as I said, when I talked about the schemes, the duration is slightly flexible because it is for each apprenticeship. It depends on apprentice to apprentice when they finish, but our durations are typically 36 months to 48 months for a degree program, and for a non-degree level 4, it is 18 months to 24 months.
Brilliant. What is the likelihood of taking on an apprentice into the Amazon business after the apprenticeship?
So we don't guarantee the permanent role after the apprenticeship. We will help you to prepare for the next level job, higher level job, and you will have to apply for the job within the team or other teams, and you will have to be successful in these interviews to get the job. So if you are good, go ahead.
One thing we do on that is that, although as Sri said, it's not guaranteed, like we will do everything we can to find an opportunity. We don't want to invest 3 or 4 years in somebody to do really well, pass the program, and then see you leave. So we work with recruiters, we work with hiring managers. They all know that we've got apprentices offboarding out of the program, and we've got lots of roles open across Amazon at the moment. So apprenticeships are part of a pipeline that go into the permanent roles. So as Sri said, we can't guarantee it on day one, but we do everything we can to make sure that you stay with Amazon permanently. If you want to, there's also the option, if you want to do something different after 3 or 4 years, to go somewhere else. So that's another option. But yes, we do all we can.
Brilliant. Thank you. Anton asked, hi, Chris and Adam. Is there a skill or characteristic that you think all apprentices share at Amazon?
Chris, do you want to have a stab at that first?
Yeah. Learn and be curious is the key skill for apprentices. I think if they can learn about things and be curious about things, then they'll do well.
Yeah, and I would say, we quite often get asked the question as well as what programming languages do you use, or I only know one programming language. Does that matter? For us, it shows if you can pick up one programming language, you've probably got a good chance of picking up others. And as Chris said, it's all about that ability to learn. That's what we're looking for. We're not expecting you to come in day one and be an expert. We're expecting you to come in and learn and progress towards something.
Time just for 2 or 3 more questions, so I'll just carry on ahead. There's a great question here from Livy, and she says, how could I impress you within the first 3 months?
I think from my perspective, I think we've mentioned it before, it's just I think Claire touched on this, it's what you put into it. It's the attitude, it's the application. If somebody's driven and somebody's doing everything they can to learn and putting in maximum effort, that even if you're making mistakes, which we kind of expect at the start, if you're putting in the effort and learning from those mistakes, then that's what we're looking for. People for the hunger to make the most of the opportunity. I think from my side, doesn't matter what program you're on, that would be the key thing that I'm looking for, is that effort and application.
Brilliant. And I think this is a good one for the apprentices to answer here. Sorry to put you guys on the spot, but if you had to sum up the company culture in 3 words, what would they be?
I'd definitely say vibrant. And I know that's not a word that would be used. Vibrant, enthusiastic, and family. I'd definitely say that.
Great words.
Yeah, I would say supportive, friendly, and nurturing.
Brilliant. What a really nice note to nearly end on. We had quite a specific question, but I'm going to ask it to the team, because I think there might be other people listening in a similar situation. They're saying that they've got over 10 years of experience in linguistics. They're retraining to be, in software development. They've already done a boot camp in software development. They've got great knowledge of Java. They have a master's and a PhD, but not in computer science. They'd love to work with the Alexa AI team. What's the route to apply? Is it what's on the screen here?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Presumably that email, someone on the other end of that email, I presume that's you, Adam, will look at that, and Adam will reach out to me and go, this person looks like they might fit an apprenticeship or could work a normal, an equivalent full-time role.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how relevant your background and qualifications are. If we can't demonstrate like new learning on the program, then we would push you towards a more kind of experienced higher route. So apprenticeships, you have to have room to kind of grow into the qualification. If you have higher level qualifications in the same subject, we can't demonstrate that learning. So it all depends. Your work experience all depends on whether it's relevant to the role you're applying to. But if not, if you apply and we think you're too experienced for the role, then we will recycle your application to recruiters that deal with higher level roles.
Brilliant. And I know we're running over a little bit here, but I think this is a really good question to end on, and it's for Claire. And Tony says, how does an apprenticeship compare to your time at your university? Are there any differences / similarities?
It's definitely different. There's no question about it. The two are very, very different, in that the apprenticeship is more flexible and less constricting. With university, you have your certain classes, your certain tutorials, you've got deadlines for work, and that's it. The rest of your time can be spent on campus or out working or doing whatever you want. With an apprenticeship, that bubble of learning is ultimately widened. You can ask to explore other things. So for me, although I did IT and telecommunications, I also asked to study cybersecurity, and that was something that Amazon allowed me to go and look into myself, and they supported it. You definitely do get the freedom to look at what you want to do rather than be told what you want to do, and you're encouraged to kind of delve into, that looks interesting, oh, I really like that, no, that's not for me. You're always encouraged to go down these different paths to see what works for you, whereas university is a much more linear path of you do what we ask you and that's it. In terms of the practical skills, apprenticeship, hands down, it gives you that skill from day one. In university, you don't get much hands-on. Well, for my experience, I never got hands-on until second, third year of university. Day one of the apprenticeship, I was asked to take part in hands-on work, and that never ended. And that is, I think, the bigger benefit of an apprenticeship. It's more hands-on, it's a lot more flexible, it's a lot more open to tailoring it towards yourself rather than following a curriculum that's given to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Claire. That's a brilliant answer. And hopefully it's really helpful for everybody that's kind of wondering whether, they should take the apprenticeship route or the uni route. I think our time has come now to wrap up the session. Adam, I'm going to hand over to you for a passing statement before we say our goodbyes, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Just very quickly, I say this on all the webinars. Don't think of reasons why you can't do it. Think about reasons why you should, and just give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose. So that's what I'll finish with.
Wonderful. Thanks to the Amazon team. It's been brilliant. Thank you to everybody who's been here and listened and watched and asked questions, and hopefully it's been super informative. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.